Well, good morning. Okay, so before we talk about how to avoid mom burnout, as I have successfully done for years now, and I used to not successfully do it, let me tell you how. First product of the day, and I have some super cool ones, super cool. Oh my gosh, look at all these. I can't wait to do an unboxing or something like that, whatever it's called, where you open them all up. I got a few more coming, but check this out. This is, let me haul it over here. First up we have, look at this. This is Beast Academy. So it is a full math curriculum, but it is, wait till we get there, a graphic novel. I think that's what they call a graphic novel, or cartoons if you're older like me. Cartoons. So look at this. The whole book is that. It comes with a companion as well, but look at that. How cool is that? So if you have a child who might be, is a little hesitant to math, perhaps trying the Beast Academy. They are not cheap, I'll tell you that. I'll find out and put the price down. Second product, oh my gosh, I was so hesitant buying this, and I don't know why I was, because it's so thick. It is an animal poem for each day of the year. So remember I talked about secondary subjects, so poetry is a secondary subject in our house. So what you do, dun, 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 is, hey, look at these. So we're talking about polar bears. The first couple days are about polar bears, and then we move on to whales, and they're all by different authors or poets. I guess you call them poets. Look at this, the gray wolf, a marsh hawk tips the solitary pine. See, so they're all different. They're all different types of things. So you get to see all the, I just think it's fantastic. I just think it's super cool. Okay, so now let's talk about mom burnout. I said to my husband, the mom is the backbone of a homeschool. If the mom is not okay, the homeschool is not okay. And he said, no. If the mom is not okay, the family is not okay. So you really got to think about that when it comes to planning, prep, and your life in general. Okay? Now think about it, especially think about, because I have sons, it still applies, but it also applies, obviously it applies if you have daughters. You would want them to look up, I would think, you would want them to look up and see, that you take care of yourself, that she sees that it's okay for her to take care of herself and put herself first. Same with my boys. I want them to see that it's okay for women to take time and take care of themselves, that it's absolutely necessary. Now let's get to the nitty-gritty before I keep preaching here. You have to let some things go, like perfectionism. You gotta let it go. The perfectionist in you is just, I get it. You want things done a certain way. You think that you need to get this done and that done, and they all gotta do this, and everyone's gotta do this, and everyone's gotta have this. How do you fight that? How do you beat that? I'm gonna tell you how. Is first of all, acknowledge that you tend to be a perfectionist. And second of all so when I'm preparing dinner, say I want, I'll have these plates for the kids, and I want to put 4 things on each plate, or for my husband or whatever. And I'll think, no, even though I want to do that, that's like perfectionism. So I'm going to start and I'm going to put 3 on instead. And it irks and I don't really want to do it, but it's an exercise in not giving into perfectionism. So another thing you need to do is to consider, and these are things that I do, like I routinely let the housework slide, and we do it on the weekend as a family. So routinely, you gotta pick the most important things. Essentialism, it's primary and secondary subjects, but like all through your life. So what's the most important things to get done? The dishes. Getting the dishes done and your kitchen clean is the most important. It's not that important to get your living room done. It's not. I get it. You want it done. I get it. We all want our living room clean. I get it. We're gonna be horrified if someone stops by. The plumber stopped by yesterday. I was kind of horrified. In a way, I mean, it was clean enough for North America. Where I am here is not clean enough for this country, but in North America standard, I think it's fine. But I was still cringing. But, I made that decision, like, hey, did I want to film a video or did I want to clean the house? Like, which did I want to do? Because I could only do one. Or set a time limit for yourself. I'm going to put in 30 minutes. And that's a lot easier to do if you're like, so you do the dishes every day, and maybe you sweep the floors every day, but Monday you do the living rooms. You spend 30 minutes deep cleaning the living room. Tuesday you do the bedrooms. Wednesday you do, and you go through different rooms in your house, because you can get a lot done. You can clean a surprising amount if you do it that way. Like so the first week maybe you only do like the surface area, but by the time you get to like week 2, and it's your second go around, you're getting that area that you've chosen pretty deep clean. Like you're able to, and same with the following week. And another thing, I heard this minimalist say that if you can't pick up your stuff in 15 minutes, then you have too much stuff out. And I really think that's true, is to box up a lot of toys, box up a lot of stuff, and put them in the basement. You don't have to get rid of them here. You're not making these I'm not asking you to make these crazy life decisions when you're in the middle of a stressed time. Just move it somewhere else so that it's not falling all out. So that it's not, because if your kids can't pick up their toys, they got too many toys out right now. So just box it up. Another thing I remember too is when I'm going to clean something, I'll be scrubbing the counter and I'll think, are there awards given for this, Mackenzie? Am I a better person because I finished this and because it's the whole counter's clean? Am I winning awards? No one's awarding me anything. And am I a better person if I clean up this? Am I a better person if I fold the laundry today? No, I'm not. The fact is that my worth is not determined by how much I do. I think that's a huge thing. Maybe it's a women thing. Maybe it's a person thing. Maybe it's just a me thing. I don't know. But my worth is not determined. If you are a Christian, you can think God is in you. So therefore, you are valuable as you are, having done nothing. You are valuable as you are, just as you exist. So you don't need to continually prove yourself to anyone. You're not a better wife because you fold socks. You're not. I've tried it and I don't think I'm a better wife for it. In fact, I think I'm a worse wife because I'm crankier. Another thing to do too for laundry is get 5 baskets. You got 5 people in your family, get 5 baskets, throw all the clothes into each basket and hand it out. Hand it out. Let them shove them in their drawers. I get it. Is that picture perfect? No. I see those houses on YouTube of those homeschool families where, first of all, everyone's dressed, which right away, it's not our house. You've seen my kids in videos. It's just not a thing. So everyone's dressed and I'm telling you, everything's so clean. And someone's playing and practicing piano and it's so quiet too. And the son's at the table doing his work and just sitting down and doing his math. And I'm wow, that's amazing and good on them. Our house doesn't really work like that. Another thing I would consider is, having a routine, but don't beat yourself up because you don't want to over routine and over schedule yourself. I'm going to show you a little secret to my routine because it's important for my kids to have routines. So every morning I wake them up 5 a.m. with books. I bring in a stack of books and we're reading. And then I got one of these. So they know a little while after breakfast or later on, sometime around there, I check it off. So this is the new one, but essentially I check it off, whatever I want done that day. Therefore, there's not the whole, just because if I don't feel like for the youngest, if I don't feel like helping him sweep or teaching him how to sweep that day, I'm not gonna. So this way they know that's a routine as they go. And it's what schoolwork's on there, what music is on there. And it's a little different for every child. And then I check off what I want them done. What I want them to do, I check off what I am prepared to do that day. Another thing I would consider doing, now, if you haven't watched my video about primary and secondary subjects, I'll attach at the end, but secondary subjects, they get 30 minutes a day combined. I know, you're how can they? Yeah, because my life, maybe because I'm an older mom, I am not sure, but I really want to enjoy my life. And I have goals and interests I want to do, and it is very important to my anxiety that I relax. So secondary subjects get 30 minutes a day. And you can split that up, one subject is in this day and one subject is in this day. But I take a bunch of subjects and I'm okay, here's art for the day. Let's look at this picture. Let's talk about this picture, blah, 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 blah. All right, and then in the car, we listen to classical music and we talk about that. So I fit in the secondary subjects. So poetry, I would pull out the poetry book right after I did the art book while we're eating lunch or breakfast. I would pull out the poetry book and go through that. So a lot of secondary subjects, same with read alouds. Read alouds are perfect for secondary subjects. Oh, pull it out during lunch. All right, now let's read something on history, right? There's a bunch of different books, a bunch of different curriculums for that. Basically what I'm saying is you have to decide on your schedule and you got to simplify your schedule. And not only that, you got to choose work that isn't busy work. You got to get rid of curriculums that are busy work. You got to stop it. It's crazy the amount of busy work that a curriculum, in order all they're doing is they're trying to make you, as the homeschool mom, think that you are getting enough bang for your buck when they pack stuff in and worksheets and all these different things in. It doesn't mean that your kid is going to learn more and that they're going to grow up to be this genius. No, it doesn't. So find curriculums, and I always talk about like my favorite curriculums that aren't padded with busy work. Because that's not fair to your kid. It's not fair to you. Your kid should be playing and experiencing life and delving into their passions. They can learn a lot through their passions, right? I got one kid who's a writer, so we can write in the mornings. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff that your kid can do that is being taken away by this need to cover so many topics in depth with busy work, because you can learn such great content and not waste time on busy work. Okay, enough of that, because I talk about that all the time. I sound like I'm preaching again. Teach your kids to do, and don't worry, at the end I got a really big secret, or when we get to it, but this next one is teach your kids to do stuff themselves, which I get is rough. It is. Like I'm telling you, if you were just to get your kids to teaching kids to do stuff, it's a lot of work. You got to psych yourself up for it. It's not like, oh, I did it once with them and they're going to know how to do it. Oh no. They have all these weird questions you never thought of and you're like, oh yeah, let's try it again. Oh, it's too hard. Well, how about we try it again together? Let's try it again. And you have all this patience. So teach them to make their own breakfast, even if it means that you're bagging up cereal. And maybe you don't want to give them cereal, but maybe Fridays this is a way to give you more time to yourself. Fridays is they make their own breakfast day and that's cereal day. And so then you have pre-portioned cereal bags for the youngest, because have you seen what kids do when you give them a box? It's adorable how often they're like, oops, sorry. There's this big pot of cereal and you're like, how clean's the table? Can I get away pushing this back in to the box? I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about if you are upset. If you are a mom that is upset, you need more boundaries. Boundaries I generally do not share water with kids. I don't share my water with kids. When we're out and I have a water bottle and they have drunk all theirs, I do not share my water bottle with them. It's a boundary I have. It disturbs me at a core level to share my water bottle. I'll share it with my husband, but that's it. It grates on me. I don't like to do it. So no, I will take them into the bathroom and scoop on my little hand and have them drink. And I get it. There's issues with that. I get it. That may not seem like the most hygienic. I completely get it. But in your life, you have to decide what your boundaries are. And these are my boundaries. I'm not going to judge you for your boundaries. Try not to judge me for my boundaries. Because if you don't have boundaries, you're going to find that you are getting upset more often than you should. That you're starting to lose it. And no one wants to be the mom that loses it. No one wants to. Another thing too is, so the first two kids, I didn't read any parenting books. I would just be like, oh, we don't do it like that. And they would be like, okay, mommy. And they would never do it like that. And it just wouldn't happen. They would never do it like that again. Like, oh, we don't do it like that. Like as if it was law. Like as if you were going to go to jail if you violated that, which is not the case. But firstborns, and there's enough years between them that's what they're like. And so then we have the third one, and I read every parenting book that has been on the market because I didn't know what to do. I read every parenting book that there ever was. And one of the things I learned was, so I read the sibling rivalry book. My youngest are a year apart, like just over a year apart. So I read all the sibling rivalry books that they're out there, and there's some really good ones. And you learn a lot of really interesting things, like don't pit the kids against each other. Like, so if it's a race to the car, it's mom against the boys. Like for me, it's always mom against the boys. Even with my oldest, like mom against the boys, or so for things like that, or parents against kids when we do stuff, right? So continue and coming up with stuff where it is parents against kids to put them on that same team. Also getting down on the floor with them, absolutely, and coaching them through it and being like a sportscaster, right? Like, oh, you really wanted that. Oh, geez, you're upset about that, which I think is fantastic to do. However, it still didn't solve the sibling rivalry problem, and it was taking a lot of my time. And I wanted to sob day after day. So it was taking a ton of my time, and I wanted to cry day after day after day because these kids are still fighting. And what I didn't realize, I read this older book. My dad gave it to me. It was a book from when he was young about how to raise kids. So I was pretty skeptical, and rightly so. Some of it was a little, I'm not doing that. I do not feel comfortable doing that. And some of that stuff you would not put in a book to do today. However, one of the chapters was sibling rivalry and how if you interfere, how it creates resentment for later between them. So they're therefore creating more things because you're like the golden prize. The mom is the golden prize. Whoever you bestow, even unintentionally, not intentionally intending to bestow anything onto the other one, whatever, it creates a mother effing mess that they get angry about and resentful between each other and try and work it out later with retaliation. So in this book, it said, stay out of it. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it. And it took me a long time to psych myself up. I waited till the youngest was 3 because I thought worst case, he can take a punch. I know that sounds terrible, but really we're dealing with boys. I don't know what girls are like, but we're dealing with boys here. And worst case, the little one's got to be able to take a punch and I got to know he's going to be okay. So I still kept up with trying to solve their problems, trying to get in the middle of it, making this huge mess. Everyone's crying, even me. It's this whole thing over and over and over again. So finally, he's 3. I'm like, okay, worst case, if older brother gets too upset and maybe lashes out at him, he's going to be all right. Like for the most part, he'll be all right. And I said, I'm not going to get involved anymore. That's what I told myself. And I stayed out of it. And it's real hard to do. Still, I'll hear them and it's really hard to do to stay out of it, but they make up so well. So the only time I intervene is anyone can come to me for a hug at any time. Absolutely. And the second thing is they come to me if they need help making up with the other person. So I demonstrate how to apologize to the other person. Like, oh, let's get him his blanket and let's hug him and let's tell him that we're sorry that happened. And let's explain to him how we feel. So those are the only 2 times I intervene. And it is tough because I hear them. They'll sound like they're arguing. Sounds like some fighting's happening. And I'm like, oh, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, I'm sorry. And it blows over real fast. It blows over really fast. So it does work. But it's just stressful. So that's what I did just to give myself more time. But the most important thing, let me see if I missed anything else before I get to the most important thing. But the biggest thing I could share with you is from 2 to 4 p.m. you are unavailable. 2 to 4 p.m. you are unavailable. Now you choose your hours, you choose your time. 2 to 4 p.m. I am unavailable. 1:45 I put together a dish of food for each child. I put some pretzels on there, I put some nuts on there, I get some hummus on there, and I put some fruit on there. Each child gets one. I bring it upstairs. You separate them. They cannot be in the same room. At least all 3 of my boys separate, unless the older one's like, hey, do you mind if we... All right, with 1 of them. Because 2 of them, I'm telling, it's too much. It's too much, right? So but ideally you're looking at separate corners of the house. And then you give them the iPad. I know, people hate me. Okay, they can do puzzles. All right, I read, let's let them do puzzles. Great. If your kids are into puzzles and your kids are sitting down quietly and not turning it into some sort of wrestling match, then good on you. You can let them watch educational things. There's this thing, Safe Watch. You get 5 free channels. You can put 5 channels on that you agree with and that your child can watch for free. And they can watch that during that 2-hour period. I'm talking if you get desperate, because you gotta pull out the Mac Daddy of stuff, if you will. I don't even know what that means. But the Mach 5 or whatever it is of stuff that's going to get you the time alone, because it's very important when you have this time, because you can do yoga, you can do prayer, you can do meditation, but you do it sitting on your butt. This isn't time for you to clean. This isn't, no. This isn't time for you to work or to fill out bills that you've missed. No. This is time where you sit on your behind and you read or you watch TV. And if you happen to fall asleep, you fall asleep during that time. That's it. That's your time. They have to work it out. They have to work together. They have to learn independence. I put out cups of water for them sometimes before, or I remind them, hey, you know where the cups are. You know how to get water. Okay, and then that's it. And then you lock your door. And that's it. And you don't come out unless you hear something real. You know when you got to open that door. But I'll tell you, I started doing it when my one was 3. When he was 3. Now, a lot of people would be like, oh, why don't you get family to come over? Yeah, we travel all over the world. Like for my husband's job, we've moved, 10 times in 8 years or something. Like we've moved an excessive amount of time. We got no friends, we got no family. This is it. That's another reason why I have a lot of time to film videos, because I do not have friends that I'm going to see for dinner or for evening or for out for drinks or whatever it is people do. There's no church around the corner that I'm heading to right now. Nothing. So I'm using that time to make as many videos as I can before we work up to our next move, right? I don't have that much time when I'm in North America. But that's another thing that I want to talk to you about is in order to get enough time for yourself, you need to look at the friends you have and the family you have, arrange them into primary and secondary. Primary are those people you love hanging out with. It's like essentialism or minimalism, whatever you want to call it. Those people you love hanging out with and that recharge your spirit and that make you feel good, and those people that you don't mind. Those people that you don't mind. And the people that you don't mind, maybe you see once a month. The people that you really like, well, then you make time for them. But you can't do it all. You just consider not doing it all is what I'm telling you. But anyway, 2 before you lock your door. And when my son was 3, he would stand outside the bathroom and I would hear, "Are you done yet, Mom? Are you done yet? Mom, are you done yet?" And I'd be like, no, because I would read in the bath and I would be like, no, not yet, almost. I get it. Like if he were screaming his head off, then yeah, I'd come out. Like if he were bawling, I just know that he would need a bit more time or a bit more entertaining show or something, right? But that time is critical so that I can be at my best for my kids. I can be at my best for them. And I think, I got one more thing. Okay, is like, so some people do is Friday is a catch-up day for schooling. So that way, if you say a Thursday, you wake up and you're not feeling that great, you can just do the basics maybe or nothing. And Friday's your catch-up day, or maybe you do the basics, which are math and language arts every day. And then if you feel up to it, you do more. Do you know what I mean? Like, so just trying to keep a relaxed schedule and you pick up where you left off and choose math and language arts and science programs that are not intensive, because it's just, you don't need that in your life. You do not need that in your life. And that's why you got to think primary and secondary subjects, because you do not, you just can't do it all. You want to do it all. I get it. We all do. But you can't. That's the unfortunate reality of it, is there's only so many hours in the day. You're only one person and you don't have to do it all. You don't have to. You're literally the only one asking this of yourself. Even the state is like, hey, you need to cover these topics. Yeah, I bet you 4 of those you can fit into a 30-minute thing just by discussing them or reading one picture book on the topic. So you can do this. You just got to look at your lifestyle. Now, another thing is if you start getting overwhelmed, you don't want to set too many goals for yourself, okay? So like you need a master list. And I've showed you this, guys, before. Let me take you down and show you again. So what you would do is you just go to blank. This is your master list, and everything you have to do, everything, whether it's email Bob, check engine light is on, make appointment, call dentist, pay bill, grade Sammy's exam, whatever it is you got going on, you put it on the master list. If you're starting to get anxious, that means you need a brain dump. Get it all out of your head, get it on paper. And then every day, go to that list, take maximum 3 things to complete that day. Maximum. And FYI, not during that 2 hours. Fortunately, you gotta be, the toughest you gotta be on is yourself. And that 2 hours, remember, if you're standing during that 2 hours, you're doing it wrong. You gotta find yourself a chair, a bath, something. Maybe you wanna do yoga. All right, I'll give you yoga. Okay, fair enough. Or a walk. You want, absolutely, if for some miracle you can leave your kids home alone and go for a walk, then yeah, you go for it. But just doing something that, is relaxing. Oh, lastly is one of the most important things that I've decided that I've done for years now. 7 p.m., everyone's in their rooms. 7 p.m., everyone's in their rooms. Do they have to go to bed? No, but you can read. You can read or do stuff in your rooms, like in your bed. So right now, the 2 youngest share rooms. So yeah, we can't do that. It's a new thing where they share a room now. We can't really do that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to build them bunks at our next house. Our next house is like the final, like we bought our property. We're not moving after that. This is where we live type thing. And so we're building them little bunks, right? Kind of little bunk contraptions that they each get to hang out in. They each get their own. And then in there, you got some books, you got some toys, but after 7 o'clock, you're in your bunk till you're tired, until you fall asleep. Yeah. And that's what I've done that for years now. It's just lately, but it's still 7 o'clock. They're in the rooms. It's just now me and my husband has to hang out with them. All right. So just consider that. Okay. All right. I hope that helps. And I'll talk to you later.
Please subscribe.
Yes.
And hit the bell for notifications.